this is David Vose. It's August the 7th, 2014. It's good to see everybody today. Well, friends, put together some pictures that I took over the summer, and these pictures are right here around where I live, here in New Mexico. They're not the greatest pictures. They're just a little bit of an insight into where I travel every day, where I live. I think it's beautiful around here in New Mexico. This is my house, my car. But, I live in an area where it's kind of open spaces. I love that. I lived in northern Idaho for years. All the trees, to anyone else, would be beautiful in the mountains. But when I was a kid, we lived in the mountains back in the, way back in there, and it was cold, and we had to have a wood heat. I really suffered a lot as a child. We didn't have water or electricity. So, actually, where I lived as a kid was right below that mountain that you see there, right under that snow-capped peak. That's Clifty Mountain and Katka Face. We built a 3-story lodge when I was about 13. My dad built it, and of course I helped build it. And it was 3 stories. We made it out of just logs. All we had to build it was a chainsaw, a Pulaski, an axe. You know, part of what we used to build it with was Dad tore down a bank downtown, and they had these, and he didn't get money for tearing it down, but he got to keep all the lumber and windows and doors and things. They had some big mahogany windows and doors that we put in there. We had elk antlers up over the balcony, and this big wooden balcony we made out of timber that we had there on the property. It was a beautiful place, but boy, did it take a lot of wood to heat it in the wintertime, and it really never got actually warm during the winter. You could pretty much skate in the kitchen in the winter. So, kind of bad memories for me because I don't like cold weather. I began to resent the cold weather and the harshness of the winters. And I guess that all just kind of combined with the closed in feeling of Idaho and the mountains all around closing you in, the trees, long winters, dark skies, dreary days. And I chose to come out here to New Mexico where it's always sunny, very few days where it's not sunny. And when it is, it's like big thunderstorms. It's brilliant and wonderful. I've learned a lot since I've come to this beautiful land of enchantment. One of the things is that here, even in a desert, um, God has provided abundantly. Friends, the picture right there is of a mesquite. Growing off that mesquite are big old bean pods. Beans are a wonderful fruit. They're packed with protein and beautiful, wonderful vitamins and minerals. But there's all kinds of things, of course, the cactus and um, the yucca is very good to eat. Most people think of yucca and eating yucca, and they think of the root. You can actually go to Walmart and buy yucca root. I guess they boil the roots and kind of like potatoes or something. But I mean, I've never actually had any yucca root. Um, I don't actually believe in roots and eating roots. If you think about it, our Father in heaven provided abundantly for human beings and for all animals. And for most animals that are of the higher order of species, we don't eat roots. We more or less are provided for by the plants, and the fruit grows on the vine or the branch. Any kind of food that grows on a plant that you can pick, and it doesn't destroy the plant to pick that fruit. It just grows there and blossoms and grows off the blossom. That's what I call a fruit. That's a technical name for fruit. There are lots of beautiful fruits here. and yucca is one of them. For about 2, 3 months during the summer, the harvest of the yucca is great. These huge berries, they're not berries, I don't even know why I call them that. They're more like big cucumbers. And each plant will produce like, oh, I don't know, anywhere from 20 to 30 or more of these big old cucumber plant, fruits. It tastes a little bit like cucumbers, maybe a little more like an apple, a nut. Depends on what time of year you get them. That's a yucca tree there. Where the flowers are is where these big old fruits end up, you know, growing there. But it's a wonderful thing. There's a lot of berries that just grow all over the desert floor. There's a one kind of bush that just grows all over here in this area. They're little red berries, and they're kind of, maybe a little sour, but they're kind of good. Um, I guess the Indians used to eat them, and I guess their technical name is like rus or something. Some people call them skunk bush, and I'm not sure why, because I've never smelled a bad smell from them. They are a little bit sour tasting, but they're really good, and they just grow everywhere up here. I guess the Indians used to make it like a kind of like a lemonade out of them. Then there's this other berry, and I haven't gotten any pictures from them. I don't know why, because they're growing all over the ground here in the desert. These are huge, big old succulent berries. They're larger than grapes, big purple grape-like berries, just growing all over the desert. And I can't seem to find them on the internet, on Google, and I haven't got any pictures of them, but they're really good. They kind of taste sweet like a grape, and they're just growing all over the desert. So it just really amazed me to see that. So God is truly great, and He truly provides for us even here in the desert. There's a host of other things that can be eaten and harvested here in New Mexico, and so many other beautiful sights to see. Truly, this is, even though the earth is still and yet under this curse because of man and our dealings and the way we've treated the earth, and yet God still provides, and the world is a beautiful place. So, friends, I was just thinking about how beautiful this world really is. It's just so beautiful. And I was thinking, how I think this is probably true of most of us. It's true for me. For years, it was this way for me. I would be just sitting there, and I just felt like crap. I didn't feel good. I was unhappy, and I really didn't know why all the time. I mean, a lot of times there's reasons. Something's wrong. You don't have a job, or somebody in your family's sick, or something's wrong. But then there's times when, even though there's plenty of stuff going wrong on any given day, sometimes it's odd because you'll be sitting there and be so happy. Maybe the sunset or a bird will fly by, and you're just like lost in this rapturous beauty and flowers and all of this. And then all of a sudden, you'll have a thought about, oh, did I pay that bill? Did I close the door when I left the house? Um, you know, all these odd, weird thoughts flood into our mind. Maybe we rehearse what we're going to do at work tomorrow and all the problems that that's going to bring. And maybe we're worried about our children, or we feel guilty for doing something. Sometimes years ago will come into our mind, and, certain problems we've been carrying with us since we were just young. Um, maybe when we think about one of our just, estranged parents or brothers or another family member, and we begin to think about someone we haven't, thought about for a few days or weeks, and it gets to making us feel sad and hurt, and sometimes even bitter, and sometimes angry. These thoughts come in and they begin to take our peace from our hearts. So it's just something that we have to remember, that there are a lot of things in this world that bring us down. And so sometimes when we're out walking around and we just don't even know why we're upset or hurt or sad and we just wish we were happy, you have to remember that our natural state is happy. When we're outside in nature and there's all of these beautiful things, um, fragrances and beautiful noises and birds chirping and the wind blowing through our hair and the beautiful colors and silhouettes, it calms us, gives us peace. And we've got to remember, we've got to take time and we've got to go out there and be in nature. You know, the Bible talks about how we're supposed to get out of Babylon. And a lot of people think, I think a lot of Christians, they just think that means we're not supposed to get involved in false religion. We're not supposed to, um, you know, worship Satan or get involved in witchcraft or something like that. And it's true, we're not. But, Babylon has got its tentacles in so many things. The real meaning, friends, of Babylon is the knowledge and the technology and all the man-made carnal system that we're living in. It includes the cars that we drive, the fancy houses, the phones, all these other things and their jobs. It isn't just that it's polluting the earth, it's polluting our minds. It's taking and robbing our hearts. So we've got to be careful. We've got to try and get out of that system. I know it's difficult for many of us. We've got to make a living. And, if we just quit our job, well, who's going to take care of our children? Who's going to pay for the bills and stuff? Of course, maybe a lot of the things that we own we don't really need, but in our day and age, just about would be impossible to live if we didn't have some kind of shelter and some way to. They make it illegal to just walk down the road or to, tent somewhere out in the middle. The government either owns it or someone else, a farmer or, a real estate person or somebody owns everything. So we don't even have a legal right to go out in the woods and just camp or make a home. So we've got to actually purchase land or we've got to purchase a home. But there are ways that we can get out of Babylon to a grand, huge extent. And it really does take a lot of planning. We've got to have that as our goal. But we've got to, instead of, focusing on trying to become rich and owning the world and buying up this and making a lot of money, having enough money to where after we pay our rent, we can also buy a boat or we can buy motorcycles, we can buy motorhomes. But friends, what we should be doing is thinking about how to narrow all this stuff down to the bare necessities. And then whatever money that we make can be used to perhaps pay for a little property that we buy and where we can live simply off the land and where we can get up every morning and hear the birds and see the flowers and that peace can rush into our soul. Now, a lot of us, of course, have um, children in the world and all kinds of relatives that are, you know, needing our help and phoning us in the evenings and telling us their troubles. And it weighs heavy on us, friends. It really does. And because we're Christians, we have this compassion. All those who love Jesus will also love others and do everything we can to help our neighbors and our families. And sometimes it takes a lot of stress and a lot of, you know, a lot off our heart and to deal with the problems that we have here in this world, even if we've done our best. But with planning, we can get our lives more focused and we can get someplace in the country where it's more peaceful and raise our children in a better environment. And of course, I understand, friends, sometimes it's not possible at this time, but we can plan it. We can begin to think about it and pray about it and start, organizing our life and simplifying things. Maybe looking at certain properties that might be for sale in an area where it's beautiful, and the air is good to breathe and the water is clean. Perhaps we could buy some property and move the family there and um, develop a life that is more simple, where we don't have to be listening to the radio, be plugged into this big Borg that's going on here in the world all the time, sitting watching TV all night. We come home from a long day's work. A lot of us sit down in front of the television. Our children sit down and we just sit and watch television or play games or get on our phone and text message or do all of these things. And not only is this a lot of stress, but it's taking away from that true focus that God created us to enjoy, which is nature. So, friends, I thought I'd just do this little video today about, a little bit about my past and how I live and where I live, and maybe just put this kind of thing forward there for some of you to think about. Um, it really is important, friends, if to get our lives in harmony with God and nature and all life around us. So, friends, it's really all I've got to say today, and I really hope everybody has a great week and um, great weekend coming up. And I hope everybody enjoyed this video. This is Dave the Vose signing out. See you again next week.